Just Between Us. It is your daily bulletin of the biggest storms heading your way.
In the Nashville area. Did we
No,
already say Nashville?
Yeah, we already did Nashville.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama area.
Yeah, lightning does
Coming your way.
strike twice. So this week, I thought we would talk about how hard should marriage be.
Okay, because you found this article.
Yeah.
Of Mandy Moore.
Of Mandy Moore, like, kind of talking about her marriage with Ryan Adams and how, like, basically she wasn't happy in that marriage, but she also was, like, primed to think that marriage should be really hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is messaging that we get a lot, that, like, marriage is hard, relationships are hard, you know, you just gotta stick it out.
Mm-hmm.
And considering that I've done a lot of research on marriage and now am married and have a book on marriage coming out, my belief is that, like, there are periods of time where your marriage is going to be harder than other times. There will be, like, periods of disconnection. There will be periods of someone dealing with something that's personal to them that impacts the relationship. But, like, overall, your experience of being with this person that you've chosen out of everyone else in the world to interact with and spend all of your time with shouldn't inherently be hard all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's this element of, we look at what we went through, we survived all of this, but sometimes that you're just talking about yourself. Like couples that are like, we had some hard times and we really made it through and we survived. But I'm like, oh, what happened? Did somebody get sick? No, we're just fundamentally incompatible.
Okay, yeah, so I think that really hits on something. And I don't think that there are any two people that are 100% compatible.
Sure.
Like, that's not possible, like, unless you cloned yourself. But even then, I mean, I fight with myself constantly.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, there's always going to be friction. There's always going to be issues. But the question is, like, to what extent and how much do they bother you?
Yeah.
For example, I like to get places early and John doesn't. But that doesn't make us scream at each other.
Right.
I think that, like, oftentimes there is this, like, feeling of, like, well, I saw my parents fight all the time, or my parents' marriage was so difficult. So then it feels like, oh, I'm onto something if it is this, like, constant struggle.
Yeah, I mean, we do replicate a lot of stuff from our parents, including, you know, this element of there is always someone in the relationship who's chasing the other person, or there's always someone who's the giver and someone who's the taker, and there's never like a stable situation of middle ground between two people. Like a lot of times relationships will start very dramatically, and then you kind of have to keep that level of drama in order to like feel like things are good.
When people start a relationship and there's like a lot of issues, that to me is like, but why not try to find someone where that isn't the case?
I know. I think because we've been taught that having a partner is so important, that like you meet someone by this age, you marry them by this age, and that's just what you do. And I'm always like, so everyone met their soulmate at 25? Everyone.
Well, now people are getting married later.
I'm just saying, like, this idea that's like, oh, well, this is the person I'm with at this time, so, and if I haven't found them by this time, then I'm a loser, and I don't have anyone, and I'm going to show up to Thanksgiving alone, and, like, we make all these narratives. You're right in that there are problems, but the way that the other person reacts to those problems, or how readily everybody apologizes, or the level to which the assumption is still the other person is a good person. Like that was a problem in my past relationship where it would never be that there was an assumption of the other person having good intentions. It was always, you did this on purpose. So like for, you know, I would say that when we would argue, it would always be coming from a place of almost like they already had the fight with me. And in that fight in their mind, I said, I did this on purpose, and here are the 45 nefarious reasons I did this on purpose, and also I hate you. And so then they would come into the conversation being like, well, it's clear you fucking hate me because you did this. And I'd be like, whoa, what? And that's a hard thing to break through. So if you are with someone and everyone just lives in a world where the other person they've chosen to be with is a good person with good intentions, and you've got evidence of that, then just have the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is like that you get better at fighting, right? That like you get better at conflict resolution and that like you don't get trapped in that same loop. And I will say there are probably a lot of couples out there that did have a lot of tension at the beginning because they have just such different ways of approaching conflict, ways of talking, ways of like confronting things. And so maybe there are couples out there that like those first 6 months were really hard, but then it got easier and now like they know what to expect from each other, how to navigate each other. So I don't want to say like if it starts hard, like you're doomed.
Yeah.
But if it starts hard and it stays hard and you don't get any better at interacting with each other, then that's like maybe not the person to marry.
Yeah.
Because I think something about like the marriage is hard, adage is like marriage kind of becomes your lifestyle.
Right.
So like life is hard, which is true. Like you and a person are going to go through a lot of different things. Like and the fact that there's now two of you can often mean that there's twice as many things. Like it's both my job and your job. It's both my ailing parents and your ailing parents. It's both of our healths. Like there might just be more issues because you have two people. But like interpersonally, like if like your interactions with each other make all those things harder,
right,
rather than you being a team dealing with all of these things. And like yes, it's hard that like I have to now care for my in-laws in a way that like before I didn't even know these people and I wouldn't have had to care for them. Like that feels very different to me, like you two against all the problems versus like just the core of your interaction with each other being a constant source of conflict.
Yeah, or being scared or being hateful. I always think about in Parks and Rec, Amy Poehler's character and Adam Scott's character, they would say, I like you and I love you. Because, like, I love you means, people throw that around. They say, like, oh, I love you, well, we should be together because we love each other and we're in love and blah, blah, blah. And, like, you love a lot of people, but you have to be with someone all the time, you have to like them.
Or like enough parts of them.
I know. So that's the thing is that they're like, but I love you. That's the overwhelming love feeling. And it's like, okay, do you like them? And I remember then when I was dating O'Brien a long time ago, constantly a big part of our relationship is I would say to him, do you even like me? Do you even like me? And he'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, okay, but you hate this. You want me to change this. You want me to change that. So then I'd be like, like when we would fight, I would literally be like, bro, I think you don't like me. And he'd be like, no, that's not it. Because you're confused. He loved me.
Right.
But he did not like me.
I dated people who didn't love or like me.
Okay. I'll give you this. It's straight people. They say, oh, well, men and women, hate each other and they're so different and they fight and you gotta hate your husband and you gotta hate your wife and blah, blah, blah. And then gay people, I think we've been taught, like, we've overcome so much adversity. Like, we got gay marriage. We did all this stuff. And it's like, now we're together. And so anything else that's incompatible, we have to just ignore it.
Well, right. You have to be like model minorities.
Yeah. Once you found the person, you've overcome, I think maybe there's a lot of outside problems that lead you to not look at the inside problems. Like, you should be able to come home to your partner and just go, oh.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that my couples therapist, when we went to premarital counseling, said was like that we want to learn how to regulate each other's nervous system.
Oh, like what do you mean?
That like we want to learn how to calm each other down. So like if one person is riled up about something, the other person like through eye contact, through touching, through like breathing, like like that like I'm a source of comfort for you, and that actually being around me regulates your nervous system and brings you back to calm rather than like being around you activates and like in a bad way or like sets off our nervous system to be riled up. Like, so I think that that's sort of a really interesting thing to like pay attention to. It's like when things are good and like, or when things are outside things are happening, just being around your partner bring you back to baseline. Does their presence like calm you down and anchor you? Yeah. Or does it like make everything worse? Yeah. Because if they make everything worse, then like, that's not like what partnership is.
Yeah. I mean, in the sense of not being responsible for each other's emotions, but being a place where it doesn't exacerbate the emotions.
I can attempt to calm John down without getting as upset as John.
Right.
And exactly. Vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge thing.
I think we need to like move away from marriage is hard and be like, life is hard. and we're there to support each other through it.
Yeah.
You know, if everything is going well in your life and there's no like huge outside stressors and you still feel like, oh my God, marriage is hard.
Right.
That might be like just that you're with someone that you're bumping up against more incompatibilities than maybe you could find with somebody else.
Do you think people are just maybe bored?
What do you mean?
Like they're in their marriage is going well, but they've been told that marriage is hard. So they're like, well, I gotta do something. Are we are we just coasting? Are we even in love?
Well, I mean, I think the hard sometimes can be like from like the lack of excitement that comes from stability, right? Like it can sometimes be hard to like maintain that level of connection with someone for that long, to continue to put someone else's needs like right up there with your own needs and things like that. Hopefully it's because you want that lifestyle. Like hopefully it's because the benefits of being in that partnership outweigh the burdens of partnership. Because partnership comes with burdens. Like I can't just go do whatever I want and like, you know what I mean? Like, but that's what I signed up for.
Yeah. You probably could just go do whatever you wanted.
No way. You know how many dogs I'd have? Like I can't just bring home as many animals as I want because John would get very mad at me.
Oh, I was like, you could probably just like go on vacation by yourself if you wanted.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. I guess that's what I thought. I didn't think the concept of you bringing home 4 or 5 dogs a day.
Yeah, I would just have a bunch more animals.
Did you see they're making Twisters, which is like a sequel or a remake of Twister?
No.
I don't like when they remake something with better special effects.
I don't feel the need to remake anything.
And don't try to be like, remember this old one where the tornado looked stupid? Now it looks cool. I don't care. The cool tornado wasn't the selling point.
Okay.